On this channel, I usually talk about the family trees of famous dynasties from real-world history. But with episode 9 of the Star Wars franchise being released in theaters tomorrow, I thought I'd shake things up a bit and look at a fictional family tree instead. So today, I'm going to explain to you the family tree of the Skywalker family. But rest assured, there will be no episode 9 spoilers in this video. However, if you happen to be a time traveler from the year 1980 and haven't yet seen The Empire Strikes Back, you might want to stop watching now. So let's start with the first member of the Skywalker family, a woman named Shmi. In episode 1, she is living on a desert planet called Tatooine with her young son Anakin. Both are slaves. No one knows it at this point, but Anakin actually has no father. Instead, he was somehow miraculously conceived by the Force. The Force is a very important part of the Star Wars saga. It's a special energy field that connects all living things and gives certain people special abilities that can be used for either good or evil. Those who use the Force for good are said to be on the light side of the Force, and those who use it for evil are said to be on the dark side. Individuals on the light side who are particularly sensitive to the Force and have trained to use it properly are part of a special order called the Jedi. The oldest and most powerful of these Jedi is Yoda. Yoda had an apprentice named Count Dooku, who eventually became a Jedi Master and took on an apprentice named Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn then became a Jedi Master and took on an apprentice named Obi-Wan Kenobi. Note that these blue dotted lines represent a training relationship, not a genealogical relationship. In episode 1, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi end up on Tatooine and meet Shmi and Anakin. They recognize that Anakin has a special connection to the Force, and so they convince his mother to let them take him to be trained. Meanwhile, the dark side of the Force is also at work. The dark side is represented by individuals known as Sith Lords, and there are always two of them, a master and an apprentice. At the beginning of the Star Wars saga, the galaxy is a republic run by a senate comprised of representatives from each planet. No one knows it, but one of the senators is actually a Sith Lord named Darth Sidious, but he's known publicly as Palpatine. Palpatine orchestrates a war on a planet called Naboo in order to use it as an excuse to grab power. This leads the Queen of Naboo to come into contact with Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin. The Queen's name is Padme Amidala. I won't go into all the details, but eventually Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon Jinn, but then Obi-Wan Kenobi kills Darth Maul. The years go by, and eventually Anakin and Padme fall in love and are secretly married. Meanwhile, Palpatine is now a virtual dictator. He secretly convinces Count Dooku to join the dark side and become his apprentice. That's why there's a red line between them. Anakin, meanwhile, is being apprenticed on the light side by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Again, a lot of things happen that I won't go into, but eventually Anakin kills Count Dooku, not at the request of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but at the request of Palpatine. This is because Palpatine is secretly trying to get Anakin to join the dark side, which he eventually succeeds in doing. After joining the dark side, Anakin becomes Palpatine's new apprentice and is now known as Darth Vader. Darth Vader always wears this special black helmet because of burns he sustained in a fight with his former master Obi-Wan Kenobi. At the end of episode 3, with Anakin now Darth Vader, the galaxy becomes an empire with Palpatine as its first emperor. He now no longer has to hide the fact that he's a Sith Lord. But one more important thing occurs. Padme dies giving birth to twin babies. They are separated at birth and secretly adopted out to two different couples. The boy, named Luke, is given to his uncle Owen and Aunt Beru back on Tatooine. Remember Shmi? Well, she later married a man named Cliegg, who had a son by a previous marriage. That's Owen. So technically, Anakin had a stepbrother. That stepbrother raises Luke, and so that's why Luke calls him uncle. The girl, on the other hand, who's given the name Leia, is given to the queen of a planet called Alderaan, and to her consort, who is named Bail Organa. She is thus raised as a princess. So Luke and Leia grow up not knowing about each other, and their childhoods occur between episodes 3 and 4. Now, episodes 4 through 6 were actually the original Star Wars movies to be made. They were the original series, released in 1977, 80, and 83. So everything I just covered is really the backstory to those original films. That's why episodes 1 through 3 are called the prequels. They were released in 99, 02, and 05. So when episode 4 first came out, no one knew that Luke Skywalker was Darth Vader's son. In that movie, Luke meets Obi-Wan Kenobi, now much older, and Obi-Wan starts to train him. Luke also meets Princess Leia, who is helping to lead a rebellion against the evil Empire, still led by this guy here. Finally, Luke also meets and befriends a pilot named Han Solo. At the end of episode 4, Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan Kenobi, and therefore in episode 5, Luke travels to meet Yoda in order to continue his training. He later learns that Darth Vader is his father, but doesn't yet find out that Leia is his sister. He finds that out in episode 6, when he completes his training with Yoda and finally becomes a Jedi. In episode 6, the Emperor tries to get Luke to join the dark side, and Luke tries to get his father to return to the light side. In the end, Darth Vader kills the Emperor, but is mortally wounded in the process. Just before his death, Darth Vader does in fact return to the light side. The rebels defeat the Empire and a new republic is formed. That's where the original series ended, and it seemed to be a very happy ending. But in 2015, we got an episode 7, the first of the sequel trilogy. In that episode, we find out that Leia and Han Solo got married, and that they had a son named Kylo Ren. Originally, Kylo Ren trained under Luke to become a Jedi, but then later he turned to the dark side. At the beginning of episode 7, we see that he is now helping an organization called the First Order, which is trying to re-establish the Empire. Kylo is now being apprenticed on the dark side by someone called Snoke, who some fans thought might be the Sith Lord who had originally trained the Emperor, although it seems that theory did not end up being true. We also meet a young woman named Rey, who has a strong connection to the Force, but whose parentage is unclear. This has led to a lot of fan speculation. But as of episode 8, the question of who Rey's parents are has not yet been satisfactorily answered. Some think she might be Luke's daughter, making her a cousin to Kylo Ren. Others feel she could be the daughter of Leia and Han, which would mean that these two are brother and sister. Finally, others think she could be the daughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi. But again, all of this is just speculation. I have not yet seen episode 9 and have absolutely no insider information, so as promised, there are no spoilers here. So that pretty much sums up the Skywalker family tree. I purposely left off certain events that occur in episodes 7 and 8, just in case anyone out there hasn't seen those yet. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen in the final episode. But if you have seen the film, once it's out, try not to give anything away. And if you're worried about spoilers, you might just want to avoid the comment section altogether, just in case. Thanks for watching.